belongs to those who have free minds. Those who can see behind the veil of illusion, know the truth, and can stand on it.
My pro-black, really pro-black, anti-hip-hop dress code. That's no cap, no vax. My white cells assassinate. Any kind of virus get chewed up, masticate. My immunity's indestructible. I'm a pillar of my community, no deductible. General Tucson leading the revolution. To black problems, we are the only fucking solution. No outsiders, no white saviors, we gatekeeping. I keep trying to wake them up cause they stay sleeping. Jooks is armed with ancestral wisdom, so I don't trust people that still trust the system. We gotta eat like Sebi, fight like Ali, think like Malcolm, migrate to Merca, Somalia. I carry my own water, so I value every drop of it. Drowning at the bottom, so I swim up to the top of it.
If I say it, then I mean it. I'm never backing down. Only a few real ones left now. If it's truth, then I'ma stand on it. If it's justice, then I'ma stand on it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'll never take it back. And if you ever hear me say it, then it's facts. That's my word, and I'ma stand on it. F what you heard, I'ma stand on it. Yeah. What happened to principles, character, fortitude? Healing through alchemy, magic is what I'm born to do. Time to purge the planet from human toxicity. People do any and everything for publicity. It's way out of control, destructive, they weak and careless. We either stand for what is right or else the people perish. Putting these devils in a panic, now we got them frantic. The righteousness of justice is poetic, Pac and Janet. You don't know lies from truth when you wearing blinders. Wisdom separates the strong people from the spineless. They tell me to kill them with kindness, be considerate, but everybody's capping out here, nothing's legitimate. Nobody's surrounded us everywhere, but the souls is missing. The enemy is always watching and the ops is listening. No wonder most of these people feeling defeated. The language of God is encoded and they can't read it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'm never backing down. Only a few real ones left now. If it's truth, then I'ma stand on it. If it's justice, then I'ma stand on it. If I say it, then I mean it. I'll never take it back. And if you ever hear me say it, then it's facts. That's my word, and I'ma stand on it. F what you heard, I'ma stand on it. Rusty Jucks, Ty Phoenix, yeah.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the New Day Resurrection and Liberation podcast. Shout out to Rusty Jux and Ty Phoenix for Stand On It. And I am your co-host and moderator for this evening, Brother Lumumba Uncaged. And of course, I have with me the illustrious host, she herself, Sister Empress Chi.
All right, Brother Lumumba, how you beat this evening?
I be. You know, everything is everything, and what is meant to be shall be. I woke up this morning, so that's half the battle. I just give thanks to the ancestors and the elders and the Most High for allowing me another day in order to learn, grow, and develop. What are you making out this evening? How you?
Oh yeah, always. Like Baba Neely Fuller used to always say, still learning.
All right.
Yeah, I get it. Okay. But anyway, so today is May the 2nd. And what we want to do for tonight is kind of have a little review of May Day. Now, I don't know if you got a chance to see any of the news yesterday, but people all over the world were commemorating May Day. Were you able to see any of the clips or any of the news articles on that?
Yeah, I sent you a clip. I sent it in the Ethereal Journey stream.
Yeah, absolutely. What are your thoughts?
I get it. I get it, and I get the sentiment and everything. And so, it is for me. It was interesting because I was looking at it as, you know, um, a snapshot as far as we actually talked about and worked around and organized around similar types of rallies and demonstrations. To name one of them, dealing with actually this upcoming, this year, dealing with the Black Solidarity National Black Solidarity Day. And
Right.
so it just kind of struck a chord for me how folks are willing to organize around more ambiguous types of terms or actions. But when, especially for, I'm going to say specifically for our people,
Right.
but the lack of observation, the lack of commemoration, the lack of organization, lack of unity when it comes specifically Black issues and being able to stand on that, I find it a bit disheartening that there's not a whole lot of fanfare, a whole lot of energy and effort as it pertains to, hailing up the legacy of our ancestors and pushing forward what we need to do for our people, for our culture, and for our continued legacy.
Right. Right.
I mean, what was your take? What was your thoughts on it?
Well, I have a totally kind of different view on it, given the fact that it kind of, started in the 1800s, actually, the late 1800s, I believe. And it was really initially focusing on labor. Of course, during that time period, that's when labor unions and things of that nature and other things about labor was becoming, a issue that most could galvanize around because people had to work. And so, with the exception of the so-called professionals or whatever, they weren't really concerned about certain things, but the everyday person was. So this was a very good way to mobilize people and to get them to do things that another factor of the system, some things that they wanted to get done. So here we had a tool that was a very good tool because people had to work and wanted better jobs and better pay and all of that. So that was kind of utilized to mobilize and organize and get them to do various things that actually political parties wanted them to do. So once again, we saw this game being played with the masses or the workers, as opposed to the elite, the people who control and run stuff. And that's really kind of what we had going on. Now, again, if you go back a little further, May Day was, in fact, a European observance for a holiday, or shall we say, a kind of seasonal representational day, right? They used to put ribbons around the pole, and the children would hold the ribbon and walk around the pole, and it was really like a ritual, to be honest. But this was an annual May Day observance recognizing summer coming or spring coming or whatever. So this was something that Europeans throughout that continent were in fact practicing in the 1800s. And then again, it began to matriculate a little later, particularly in the US, but also in other countries. That's why it's really an international observance because, again, the issues of workers became a prominent kind of thing in the political arenas. But initially, it was like Easter. In a way, not necessarily the spiritual aspect or the religious aspect, but it was certainly a day where people would dress up. Again, they would have a different dinner or outings or whatever, and it was annual, and they did this every year. So it's interesting that most don't even bother to know the history of some of these European observances. And know that some of them are, in fact, connected to ritual. So That's kind of my spin on it.
Right, right. Okay. All right. Indeed, indeed. Like we
So
have
yes. So it's more than just a workers' day. I mean, that's what is popularized, for now. But that's not the initial history.
hmm indeed.
Okay. So so now here's the other part for me that I tend to, whenever there's European holidays, I like to try to use them for our advantage or to our advantage in some kind of way. So in the context of May Day, I'm going to do, since this is May the 2nd, I'm going to do May Day, May Day. Now, for those who are familiar with certain military structures or engagements or interaction, then you know that May Day is a distress signal, right?
hmm
So again, so for me, I'm putting out a distress signal to our people, particularly on the issue of our women and girls. Once again, this week, I've gotten several reports on either unaliving, missing, and so forth, women and girls, and not just Philadelphia, other cities. And so, actually, one came out of DC earlier today. And it was interesting to me because the person that sent it is a person that I have been sending information to for about 5 years about missing Black women and girls. And now someone that he knew was missing. And so the photo and information went out today or yesterday. I don't know which, but the last couple of days. And so here we are again, realizing that this thing is going on all over the country. Why people are just sitting back waiting, watching, and not really doing much about it, it boggles my brain. I mean, not really, but I'm just saying. And like you said earlier, Brother Lumumba, we tend to gravitate to things that are more about other people or how other people orchestrated or, bring it into the light or into popularity. And then, we follow it. But here we have this stuff going on right in our communities, all over the country, every single day now. And people seem not to even care.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it seems like just indication more and more of the type of programming and type of indoctrination, type of psychological warfare that we have undergone and suffer from, and just continuation of uh, the new age Willie Lynch chip, as well as that post traumatic slave syndrome, and still believing that even if not consciously, subconsciously, that we are lesser than, and that others, need to take the forefront or the lead for us to get on board, to get involved. Still the theory that white ice is colder. You know what I mean? So that's a
Yeah.
little bit disheartening. And with the May Day, also, when I was putting the information out earlier, I was highlighting the May 13th as May Day, right?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
acknowledging, the bombing of a city block, 61 homes destroyed, and 13 you know
11.
excuse me, 11 people unalived, five of them children, with
Mm-hmm.
move bombing May 13th, 1985. So, when I think about May Day, that's what I think about. And to make sure that folks are not forgetful of the atrocities, once again, that has fallen upon black people and black communities. You know how a city block was almost destroyed, nearly decimated, from the Philadelphia Police Department, and the corrupt system of politicians that was targeting the MOVE organization. The agencies of COINTELPRO, coming from the local all the way to the state and federal levels. So that's what I look at as remembrance. And then when I was thinking about, again, when we talk about labor, talking about specifically black labor, in connection again with what we discussed previously, we deal with reparations and reparatory justice, and again linking that to National Black Solidarity Day, which
Right.
shows uh movements towards organizing around those efforts and making sure that we don't continue to be exploited, and really showing the power of the black dollar, as opposed to constantly being consumers and not having any type of governance over our finances, over our income and our economy, and being able to fuel political campaigns and promises that never get fulfilled, and nothing to do with a national black agenda. So I think about those things as well.
Well, what we realize now is that, and I feel so honored that an elder put that in my ear and in my spirit years ago. And I'm talking about Baba, uh, who, of course, was the President General of the UNIA, Baba Reedman Battles. And he used to always impress upon me to make certain that I institutionalize my work. He said, you must institutionalize your work. And at the time, I really didn't get it. But now, even more so than ever, I see why that has to be done. Meaning, to just ask people to do certain things, that doesn't get it. There has to be structure now. People function based on routine or consistency in such a way that it can be looked at on a continual basis. This is where people are now. And so to just do something because it's a good thing to do and things that's not how it's not rocking like that anymore. So now understanding that to a greater extent with MWM and developing it further into its universal movement status, certain things will now be required for members. You see, because I realized just saying it, thinking that, wow, people would hear it and then think, wow, this is something good to do collectively. No, nope. So for those folks who are really trying to be free, more self-determined, more, independent thinkers, as well as collective doers, now they'll have a framework that they can work from, that they can grow from fundamentally. You see, and that's really what's missing. And if we really look at history, that's kind of what has helped to keep folks kind of moving in a certain kind of way over the past 100 years, is having structure, but the type of structure that had, certain responsibilities to it. And so initially I didn't realize that was really necessary like that. I thought at this stage of the game, folk would just, there's so much that has happened. I just figured folk would just oh yeah, okay, let's do this. Nah, that's not how it is. So now that I know that, I'm taking the time to develop components that literally have the how to do it kind of stuff connected to it. Because other than that, it's not going to get done, at least from what I've been seeing.
Indeed, indeed. Shout out to the supporters, tapping in on our streams on YouTube. All right, shout out to Brother Pollinator as well as Sister J Renee. And we got Sister Dottie in the back room.
All right.
All right, so much
Great.
appreciated.
So listen, before we move on, family, a couple of things we want to make folks aware of, and that is this tonight's new day is a special salute to two of our ancestors. Now, of course, you've heard on March the 25th, there was an incredible groundbreaking occurrence. And so in that spirit, we are really implementing starting today what I call 18 days of resistance, of action and resistance. In that spirit of Saint Queen Mother Moore, and today, May the 2nd, is in fact her ancestral day. She made transition on May the 2nd, 1997, just a few months before the Million Woman March. This is also the day, May the 2nd, the born day of Dr. Imari Obadeli. Isn't that ironic? That it's Queen Mother Moore's ancestral day and Dr. Imari Obadeli's born day. His born day, he was born in 1932. Now, both of them were co-founders of Incomparable, the Republic of New Africa. And from Dr. Imari Obadeli, at least for me and others, the understanding or the introduction to the ideals and ideas of plebiscite. We'd never heard of it before. Now, so in that spirit, we are committed and responsible to make certain that we continue their work. So we're going to share with you tonight some of what that work is. Some of it you're seeing right before your eyes, because if it had not been for Queen Mother Moore and for Dr. Imari Obadeli, I'm pretty safe in saying these conversations and other things about reparations, you would not be hearing it. So whether folks agree or disagree or whatever with Incobra or what they've done or haven't done over the years, if they had not done what they did, I don't believe folks would be able to have the kinds of conversations that they're having today, because nobody was really talking about reparations like that until Queen Mother Moore. And that's all she talked about. Anybody that has ever heard Queen Mother Moore know that after she gave you peace and blessings and things of that nature, the next thing coming out of her mouth was reparations. You see, you cannot discard that. You cannot dismiss that. And we're talking about 1950s. So these folks is coming in now, I call them Johnny come latelys, really, in certain regards, to be acting like, this stuff is like something that they got. I don't know. But anyway, folks put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this stuff. So tonight, we're going to pay tribute to Saint Queen Mother. She's one of her saints, Queen Mother Audley Moore, and Dr. Imari Obadeli. Dr. Imari Obadeli happened to be from Philly, by the way. So you know I'm always going to be up in that. But anyway, so that's two of the things that we want to highlight. The other thing before we go any further is, now that I'm really focused on our women and girls in a certain kind of way, because I realize that if our sisters don't do it, not to say that some of our brothers are definitely supporting and doing some things that are very helpful, but the majority, and I'm not talking about the majority who don't know certain things, I'm talking the majority that claim to be about some things, we get little to no response from them. And so this is going to be made. That's right. Yep. This is going to be made very clear because it's unacceptable. Unacceptable. When it comes to this issue of violence and abuse, what excuse can anyone have, particularly with a young girl? I've heard all other kinds of excuses about the women. Oh, the women, they beat her. I heard all kinds of stuff. But I'm saying it's no longer acceptable. So with that said, we're going to start naming some names, groups, organizations that we're reaching out to ask to support in whatever way they feel that they can. So next Saturday, there will be a community and media briefing. Uh-oh. Are we getting some feedback?
It's all right. I got you.
Okay. All right. So next Saturday here in Philly, and it'll also be virtually at 3:00, there will be a brief rally that'll focus on some of the missing Black women and girls. We're going to be showing some of the photos and other information about missing Black women and girls so that people can screenshot it or look it up or what have you. We're starting here in Philly, but also there's DC, there's Baltimore, there's Atlanta, there's Newark, there's Chicago, there's Detroit. And so our plan is to begin to go into these cities, get the stats, get the information, talk with whomever it is that's working on some of these issues and areas when it comes to the violence and abuse of our women and girls. Scheduled to be in Baltimore. We're confirming it. Looks like it'll be June the 7th. I'll be going to Newark, also Chicago, because we've got to now be a little more aggressive in this issue. Because if we don't, no one else will. And I can prove that for 10 years. And we're going to really make it very clear that we have been reaching out to various groups, organizations for 10 freaking years about this issue of violence of our women and girls, and particularly in the last few years, the issue of kidnap, missing, trafficking, and so forth. And so now, we're getting ready to drop the dime, as they say, not letting them get away with it. So we'll talk more about that as we proceed. Oh, and the women too. Don't get me wrong. Some of the women, yeah, they fronting. So this can't continue. Okay, so we'll go back into that a little later. And by the way, there is a national commission that is being formed that will now realistically and seriously address this issue. And then next year, we're looking to do a major summit. So we'll give you more information about that as we proceed tonight as well.
All right.
Okay, the other thing I want to share with you is, again, in doing more research and in-depth analysis about our women and girls. Brother Lumumba, I know you've heard about lupus.
Yes,
but what do we really know about lupus? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I've heard of it, and I even know a few people. But I'm telling you, I had no idea what I now know. And this is why I'm saying when it comes to our women, we not only are getting the short end of the stick, we ain't even getting the stick. So, with the issue of lupus, who knew that 90%, according to the statistics, 90% of the folk that in America anyway, the folk that are said to have lupus, 90% of them are women. And the majority of them are Black women. Black women tend to get it in a more severe way. And it is more fatal for them, for us. Now, who knew? I certainly didn't. And I'm saying that now, as sisters, as Black women, we have to pay more attention, because this stuff messes with your organs. your, I mean, all parts, different parts of your body. Skin irritations, and I mean, it's really something. And some of it can be managed, at least better, with of course, with diet or, proper food intake. But the symptoms, what are the symptoms? Things of that nature. What are the causes? And again, I've heard of lupus, but I have yet to see in our communities any kind of real focus on Black women and lupus. Maybe here and there, but for the most part, no. But yet we're the ones who get it the most. I mean, this is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So we'll talk a little more about that as we proceed tonight as well. But what I'd like to do before we go into tonight's segments, we're going to also talk with the sister who will be joining us soon from Texas. Chairman Fred was going to join us for part 2. But, Chairman Fred, he's always running somewhere. But he did want to make sure that, we were able to fill in that time period. And so he connected me with a sister in Texas. And she has some information she's going to share with us. Oh, boy. When you hear this, sisters, again, how are we talking about protecting our children? And how are we going to now make certain that some of these young brothers are able to be and get with some real Black men? So we're going to have that conversation very shortly. What were we getting ready to say, Brother Lumumba?
I was going to say, just for a heads up, on the main stage currently, we do have Sister Dottie, Sister Key West, and Sister Sekhmet. So,
all right, that's Sister Key West is who we're going to be talking with shortly. She'll be coming up shortly. I told her she can come and listen in until we're ready for her. So I guess she decided to do that. Cool. All right. So before we talk with Sister Key West, and she's going to tell us about what has happened to her son and indirectly to her. And I'm not going to go into the details. I'm going to give her the mic and let her share with you what it is. And again, family, Black women, I'm just curious. How are we talking about protecting ourselves? I mean, definitely our children, but what about ourselves? And not just physically, all across the board. Dealing with this system. How are we protecting ourselves when we have to deal with the system? What kind of advocates or training or whatever do we have to represent us? Because other folks got that. And so we're going to talk more about the Black Women's Defense and Justice Leagues and other units that we have had in place and are now developing to make certain that our women and girls are better protected. We're not waiting for anybody about anything any longer. So before we go into that conversation, we want to just kind of go back to last week. We missed our program last week. We had some technical problems. And, every year in April and then in December, we talk about and make certain that we're doing something as it pertains to Mumia Abu-Jamal. So last Friday, of course, was his born day, 72 now. And of course, still a political prisoner for over 4 decades. And so we wanted to make sure that you heard his voice, as we often do when we get commentaries. But also, we want to make sure that folks say what they're going to do to help. Whether it be write him a letter, just, send him some love, be it whatever. We are creative, come up with something. But we can no longer just have conversations about political prisoners and then not do something to help them. So we're going to talk about that tonight as well. But Luma, can we go to the clips of Mumia?
Okay. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Now, the first one, for those who tuned into Ethereal, you may have heard this one, but I wanted to play it again for those who did not hear it, but also to reiterate, how could someone behind bars all day, I think he gets now maybe a couple of hours out of his cell, but for 30 years, roughly, he was in his cell for 23 hours. But still able to write, to teach, to stay positive, to study. And he has little to nothing to do that with, as you will hear him say in this commentary.
I try to hit every mark I can by most movements I hear from. ASAP. I try to turn it around quickly and just get it done. Sometimes that's not possible just because things don't come together. Many times it happens because I don't have background information. What people don't realize is that I sent most of my files out when my property got purged. So 40 boxes here, 40 boxes here, 40 boxes there. So I don't have access to the same data that I used to have. So people don't get that, and they also don't understand that I do not. I repeat, I don't have access to internet. See, I can't Google anything. I can't go online anywhere. And I know people don't get that because often I'll get something in the mail or something on the tablet, and it'll have a email address or an online address that I cannot access. This is a closed system. And I know it's hard to understand because everybody's online. Well, guess what? Everybody isn't online. It's a labor of love, and I love doing what I do. And I know people appreciate what I do. So let's keep on trucking and get the work done and create a new world. How about that?
These commentaries are recorded by Prison Radio.
Wow. I mean, to hear him behind those walls, behind those gates, with that kind of fervor, with that kind of clarity, I mean, it has to make you think, what are we doing? We can walk outside our doors pretty much anytime we'd like, go almost any place we want, do almost anything for the most parts. What are we really doing, family? And these groups and organizations that talk all this black stuff, where is the work to help free our people in this regard? And so we want all of our people free, needless to say. But what kind of dignity and honor do people have if you don't fight for the ones who fought for you? Specifically, we talk about human rights. Well, there's some other rights, y'all, of a people. And you're supposed to do certain things. So that was Mumia just kind of sharing a little bit. He rarely talks about himself. That's why I found that to be so interesting, because out of the thousands of commentaries that he does or have done, he rarely talks about himself. And even in that, he's just giving insight into how it is really difficult to do some of what he does. So let's move on and go to the next clip, which is, again, actually how he does his commentaries when he's talking about a specific issue. And he does this every week pretty much, unless he's ill or, can't be accommodated, because he's doing this stuff by phone. He's transmitting it by telephone primarily. Let's go to the next clip.
I really wanted to really thank the students and the teachers of the abolitionist school and congratulate you on the subjects that you've studied and the fact that you've completed your studies. I also want to really thank you for thinking about W.E.B. Du Bois. You know, this is a man who had his impact in 2 centuries and who lived almost 100 years of life. But most people know about him, through his work with the NAACP and his later life. They don't know, unless they've really read and studied him, that he was one of the first Pan-Africanists in America. And he worked with people from Jamaica and the other islands and in Europe and in Africa to try to build a place of strength, right? Where people could talk about decolonization and freedom for Africans in Africa and for African Americans in the United States and in the West Indies and the colonies. He was a deep thinker, right? Who loved his people immensely. And if you read his early works and you think about the mind behind the words, you can hear kind of a reflection of that love for young Black people and for people around the world. W.E.B. Du Bois was a giant of his time. He was one of the first people to go around the world and support freedom struggles, right? And especially the decolonization movement in much of Africa. So he knew some of the great minds that were moving in African countries and in the West Indies. And he talked to them and he thought with them and he organized with them. And this was, mostly in the late 1800s and the very early 1900s. His relationship with the U.S. government was quite complex. People forget that he was charged with being an agent of a foreign power. That foreign power was the USSR, what was called the Soviet Union or Russia. And he was indicted and he went to trial. And most of the people who praised him, who admired him, who respected him, well, they fell away. And it was only the working class people, the average people, the everyday people that held on to him and continued to support him. He was later acquitted of that charge, but he never forgot that lesson. So congratulations on your studies of W.E.B. Du Bois, one of the greatest minds of the 19th and the 20th century. And I can tell you this, my favorite text of his is a book that's really not well known, but it's called Dark Water. And he wrote it, I think, about 20 years after his first book, The Souls of Black Folk. And it's an angry, passionate driving polemic, where he writes from a soul that has been scarred by really the racist attacks on black people during the teens, the 19 teens of the early 20th century. And he sees America as it is, not as he wanted it to be. So read him, study him, and learn from him. I know he was an inspiration for Angela Davis and a lot of people who studied him in their youth. So congratulations, my friends. Congratulations for studying. Congratulations for graduating. But now you have to ask yourself, what do you do with what you've learned? That's the real congratulations. With love, not fear. This is Mumia Abu Jamal. These commentaries are recorded by Prison Radio. I really
Peace, peace. I don't know if you noticed, Sister Empress, you are on mute.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I just saw it. Okay. What more can we say, family? I mean, you heard for yourself. Mumia needs to be freed. He needs to be out of bondage. And it's not like he can't be. Remember, there were others who were incarcerated for the same period of time, 40 plus years, and are now free. And some of them were charged with the same alleged crime. So it's not like he cannot be freed now. He has served enough time. He should have never served in the first place, but we're in America, so it is what it is. But certainly, all of the Move 9 were freed, with the exception of Merle, who, of course, was passed in jail. But the rest were freed after 40 years. Others were free. Sundiata Akoli, Dr. Montula Shakur, Jamil Montague. I mean, there are others who have been freed. There's no reason why Mumia should not be freed now. And I'm saying that the masses of our people are failing him. And for those who do not feel that it's their responsibility, that they didn't know him or they weren't affected by him or anything like that, all I can say is, if you're talking black, then yeah, you're a part of it. You see, you can't be straddling these fences any longer. So we're going to get into these kinds of conversations for the future and get more in depth about it, because some things must now change. Okay. So I guess what we can do is see if Sister J. Renee or Sister Dottie have a comment. And then I guess we're going to get ready to talk to my new sister I just met today. And we hit it right off right away, as of course, when Chairman Fred hook you up with somebody, it's going to be okay. So, but before we get some comments or thoughts from anyone, Philly. I tell you, that's why I stayed in Philly. I didn't have to stay in this dump, in this place. But I did, because the work that has to be done here needs to be done with people who really are familiar with how this place operates. Now, you all may have heard this is 250-year commemoration of the so-called founding, officially, that is, of this country. And Philadelphia is the place where that was all signed at. Declaration of Independence, Bill of Rights, and so forth and so on. So there's a very interesting energy here. Negative, but interesting. So now the time has come where some of this can be addressed in the manner that it needs to be, which we'll go into in another time. But the thing I'm going to fast forward and say is that people are going to have to choose sides in the very near future. And so right now, the decision came in on Thursday, I believe it was, that 17 more schools, public schools, will be closed. Now, this time they're citing or using the reason that at least some of them are being closed, which I could see that to some degree. Some of them is because they're old and they have asbestos in them. And so this is one of the reasons why they're going to close them down. Well, we know that that's really not the real reason why. They have plans for the city to do a lot of construction and building and redoing of the city, because they really want Philadelphia to be more of a tourist location, and it needs to look a certain kind of way. Anyway, we'll go into that another time. But the point that I'm making is 17 schools will now be closed. Where do you think those children going? And how crowded are these other schools now going to be with 17 schools being closed? Now, the question that I need to be raising for Black folks in Philly is, are we finally ready to develop our own capability to educate our children ourselves? Given the fact that we now have all these folks with education degrees in so many different ways, bachelor's, master's, PhDs, and so forth, certifications, but yet one independent school, one. So we're going to see, because MWM is now preparing to do that in our community, along with what we call a homeschooling village, a collective. So we'll tell you more about that as we proceed. But before we do, and get ready to bring in our sister, Key West is her name, by the way. I'm just going to see if there's any questions or comments, or what are your thoughts, Brother Lumumba?
Yes. I think we had a sister J Renee. She's actually on the live stream on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Sister Dottie is in the yard, as
Okay.
well as Sister Key West. But yeah, definitely. I think I was sharing that article with you before, and a couple of days ago about the closing of the 17 schools. That decision being sent down, and
Yeah.
the opportunity, because in a lot of times, unfortunately, movement is made based on necessity,
Right.
and not that it's the thing or the proper thing to do, but it's sometimes the only thing to do. So with that, unfortunately, people have to be put in circumstances and situations that kind of force them to move forward, or to trailblaze, or to be innovative, creative, and so forth. So I think we're approaching that apex to where very soon we're not really going to have a choice but to engage in some of the things that we've been campaigning for years. And you know, these things are finally going to have no choice but to come to pass, or, you know, in my estimation, it is going to equal up to our demise.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, one of the things that MWM is introducing in Philly, Baltimore, DC, Newark, other cities is what we call Black Communities United. It's kind of structured, or the intent of it is to function kind of similar like the Black United Front, the one that Brother Malcolm, had introduced a year roughly before his assassination. And so the idea was that we own everything, that we operate, that we administer it us. That's what he was teaching and doing. And so in that spirit, and this year, of course, will be his 101 year of us knowing about him. And every year there is a pilgrimage to New York, to the cemetery. We will be going, hopefully again this year. We went last year. We took a van up. So if anyone is interested, if you're in Philly and you want to be a part of our caravan, we call it caravan. We'll be going up to the gravesite. There's a ceremony. There are speakers. The vibration is like, you talk about rejuvenation for your spirit. Sister Batty Shabazz is right next to Brother Malcolm, and their grandson is right next to them, Malcolm Latif. And also we go to visit and give our, love to Paul Robeson. He's also buried in the same cemetery. And so is Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad and Dr. Ben. So we make it a day to really remember ancestors, our freedom fighting ancestors. And we're also planning to go to the African burial grounds, which if you've ever been there, oh my gosh, it is just beautiful, both visually and spiritually. Excuse me. And we're also planning to go to the Ark of Return, which is on the plaza of the United Nations. So we'll be giving you more information about that before we close out as well. All right. All right, family. So I guess we're ready to segue into our next segment. And again, I'm going to have Sister Key West to I'm just going to give her the mic more or less. And I'll jump in here and there, but I want her to take her time and share some of what she shared with me today. But now we're going to share it with you. Because for I don't know why, it seems like as soon as certain things happen to somebody, then they get more interested. But hopefully you'll hear what she's saying and recognize that this stuff is going on all over the country every day. And if Black women do not become more organized, we will be responsible to some degree for allowing the system to do what it has already planned to do. And that is to now have a totally different approach in dealing with Black women. And I will give you some examples as we proceed. But best believe, our brothers have always been public enemy number one. We know that from day one. And sisters kind of had a little card to play. Well, guess what? Time's up. You're not needed anymore. Okay, so this is a new time coming in. And Black women better get it together. For real. And I'm not talking about the ones who, shall we say, have certain capabilities. I'm talking about grassroots women who also have certain capabilities, but don't be given the opportunities. Anyway, We'll go back to that shortly. Let's bring in Sister Key West. And hey, sis, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we go into what it is you're going to share with us, let's just go talk a little bit about you, who you are, a little bit, and so forth.
All right, right. So, as she said, my name is Key West. Hey, family. How everybody's doing? Hope everybody's doing great. So, a little bit about me. I am out here in the West Dallas area, born and raised in Fort Worth, though, but I'm a Texas baby, born and raised. I've been staying out here in the West Dallas area for 3 years. My org is called the ER, as you can see my logo right there. We are a voter educator organization that teaches the basics of voting 101, the history behind voting, who's on the ballot, when elections are happening, and then also how voting affect us. Because a lot of times we don't realize that it's all connected. Everything is connected. Voting is connected to every aspect in our society. So that's just a little bit about me, and my org is called the Key West. You can find me on Instagram at TheKeeWest, West, and that's again the Key West, KEE West.
All right. All right, family. And again, and we're going to be getting with Sister very soon to do some of our classes because with the Million Woman Party, one of our commitments is to do education. How can people be voting and they don't have the information? They don't have the anyway. We'll get back to that.
Exactly. Yeah,
Right.
but that's another story for another day.
Yes. Okay. I'm turning the mic back over to you. So share with us what it is you need to share with us.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm not coming with a great story. Unfortunately, my son was at a 10U baseball camp with the Texas Rangers Youth Academy where he was racially harassed. And when I say racially harassed, he was actually bullied while he was at practice. Two Hispanic children made racial slurs, calling him a monkey, spelled it out in song, and then made the noises. And this happened right in front of my face. I watched it from the sidelines. Whenever the practice was over, my son came to me afterwards, explained to me what happened. And as soon as he told me that, we went right back to the staff. I informed everybody immediately. The reason why this thing got so big is because of how the Texas Rangers decided to handle it. And when I say how they decided to handle it, so from the start, that night, I sent over an email documenting everything that happened. The Texas Rangers responded back with a generic email acknowledging that they received my concern and was going to start an investigation. But Monday came and then there was no written follow up, no safety plan, or no next steps were provided. When they were going to call me in for questioning, when they were going to interview my son, when we were going to identify these kids, nothing. There was no written follow up. So I went to social media. I put it on social media once, and then there's actually a couple of news articles out there. Once these news reporters started reaching out to Texas Rangers, they wanted to meet with me. I have email threads showing that I was actually supposed to meet with the staff. It was going to be a routine follow up conversation about the incident. And this happened on April 16th when my son had encountered these racist individuals. Well, I would say, these taught racist individuals, because we have to be very important about that. This is a learned behavior, and we're talking about 10-year-olds. They are learning these behaviors. So April 16th is when my son encountered these behaviors. On the 23rd was finally when I met with the staff about it, and that was a Thursday. The following Thursday, when I arrived, I was supposed to meet with staff, but they ambushed me with a lawyer without any prior notification. They never told me that legal counsel was going to be present. So whenever I noticed that there was going to be a lawyer here, I asked to record it. This lawyer told me that I could not record the conversation and could not provide me any written policy or any legal citation to validate this. And Texas is a one-party consent state, meaning that I'm legally allowed to record any conversation I'm a part of. I consent to it being recorded, therefore it would be recorded. However, nothing happened. Actually, when I responded back to them, letting them know that, the Texas Rangers declined to meet with me altogether. And then shortly after that, they sent out a generic code of conduct email to all the families, but the email never stated anything about the racial incident. It didn't say anything about any actions that were taken. It never stated anything about a safety plan to ensure. So we have parents that are bringing their kids here that are not even aware that this is even taking place. So on the final day of the camp, and it was a Thursday, all of these incidents from the time when my son was encountered by two racist individuals calling him a monkey, that was a Thursday. The following Thursday was when they ambushed me with a lawyer. And then this following Thursday, me and my son, we went up there early so we can identify these kids, being that it was going to be the last week. And these children was going to get away without being identified. As I stated, the Texas Rangers refused to meet with me. And all of this is documented. I have video. You can find it on my Instagram account at The Key West, where you can see all of this for yourself. However, like I said, me and my son went early so we can identify these children because Texas Rangers was literally trying to cover it up. Once we seen one of the little boys, my son pointed him out, I immediately went to the front office staff, and his name was Juan. Juan is the head over the Texas Rangers Youth Academy. He is the head staffer. I informed him of the child. He actually told me, Juan, he confirmed that he wrote down the little boy's information as well as who he is involved in the incident. However, nothing was done. They continued to let him play like it was a regular day, knowing that this is a direct violation of their code. In their code of conduct, it states that this is not tolerated. Yet once we identified this child, nothing was done. They just let him go play. His mom sat in the stands as if it was a regular day, and she's the one who's teaching this racist behavior. But nothing was done. They know who it was, and all right, go back on the field. Have a great day. Nothing was done. No disciplinary action was done. He was allowed to continue to participate. Not to mention, me and my children have been in this camp involved with Mercy Street. They are partners with the Texas Ranger Youth Academy, for those who do not know, out here in the Dallas area. We have been involved in this sports program for 3 years. I have actually coached several teams. I have several rings as well as medals. I've volunteered, shown up. So my family is very embedded in here. My children went to their mentorship program. So they know us in this community. Not once have we ever seen police presence there until that day I identified that child. And when the police came, they followed me and my children around. So here we are with the same stereotype of when a Black person speaks out about a racial incident, now they are immediately treated as the criminal. And sad to say, the two police, well, they call themselves the Texas Rangers police officers. They were both Black men who told me themselves that they're not here for that. They really don't care. They're just here doing their job. And isn't that the same scenario over and over again? They're just doing their job, implementing harm on Black people who have already experienced harm.
Wow.
So when they chose not to hold the little boy accountable, we decided to protest. I decided more or less to protest. So we went out to the front, and I just did a public announcement to all the people in the stands because, as I stated, the Texas Ranger is trying to cover it up. So I had my bullhorn. We made homemade signs, And I let it be known that the Rangers are protecting racists and they're trying to cover it up. I explained to all the parents that were there that you may not be aware of what's going on, but however, there's a child. There were two children out here that racially harassed my son, bullied him, calling him a monkey, and he's on the field right now playing with your black son. And the Texas Rangers know who this child is and did not hold them accountable. You're sitting next to the mother who is teaching this child these racist behaviors. And you don't know who they are because the Texas Rangers tried to cover it up. Sad to say, a black woman approached me and made me the problem and told me that my child should be the one that should be out there on the field with the child. She told me that I should not run from this situation and that my son should still be on the field with the same racist child who called him a monkey. And that's very negligent. You want me to send my child onto the same hostile environment. And we fail to realize that when we have people displaying behaviors that are calling black people monkeys, saying it in song and spelling it out, taunting, this comes with dangerous behaviors. When people have these type of thinking and the ideologies about black people, death comes with it. Some type of harm comes with this. And she, a black woman, one, well, I think she was mixed, but she was speaking for the Hispanic community. For her to tell me to send my child into a hostile environment is very neglectful. And that's just where it ended that day. The Texas Rangers knew about the incident from the moment it happened, tried to cover it up, ambushed me with a lawyer that lied and could not provide any policy to back up her claim. And then, whenever I did appear back on camp, they had police officers for me. We identified the child who said these racial remarks to my son, and he was not held accountable. He was still allowed to play.
Wow. All righty. Wow. All right, family. So listen, and this kind of thing is nothing new, needless to say. But you know, I don't even know how to respond to this, to tell you the truth. But I'm going to say this again. When are we going to realize that America will never, at least not anytime in the very near future, attempt to treat us in the manner that we should be treated for real? That is not going to happen anytime soon. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't still continue to fight or continue to resist or what have you. But simultaneously, when are we going to build our own?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Really, that's what it really comes down to. And so we're going to be talking more about that now because with, again, 123 countries agreeing that the transatlantic slave trade was, in fact, the greatest crime against humanity, there is no reason why we should just be sitting back and not at least attempting to develop our own everything.
Yeah.
Schools, institution, arts and culture institution, training facilities, farming capabilities, you name it.
Yeah. Doctors' offices, especially.
Yes.
We need it all. And what's really taking me aback about this situation is because I realized during this incident, I'm not sure if y'all are familiar, but Texas is now being exposed for a lot of their racist antics. Like I was explaining to you earlier, the lady in Houston, she was a Hispanic woman who was a police officer, ex-Marines, that was openly racist about how she was going to handle black people. If they called for help, she was going to find a way to send them to jail. And this was her rhetoric. And she kept saying so much how she hate niggers and it just so on and so forth about how she really disdained us while still using our terminology, which is crazy. And I say that to say that if y'all, I'm not, because I know you're in Pennsylvania, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Philly.
Philly, right? You're in Philly. So yes, out here in Texas, well, we know Texas is one of the major states. I was taken as a swing state. If the Democrats get it, then we take over the House. Republicans get it, then they take over. Well, we know the Republicans are taking over Texas as of right now.
Right, right.
In every election, we've seen how the Hispanic vote has went towards white supremacy.
That's right.
From the past election, how Trump got elected,
Yep.
the Hispanic vote was outrageously high in Texas. And then even here in the past elections with the primaries, the Hispanic vote was overwhelmingly high for non-black individuals, if you get what I'm saying. It was when it came to the Hispanic vote and black people, it was a
Right,
very low percentage. And
right.
this is reflected. This is not just opinionated. So we have these Hispanic people playing into this racial hierarchy, actually implementing this racial hierarchy. And we can bring this back into historical context, even when we're talking about the Tejanos and how before Texas became a part of America, it was its own country because of how they, left Mexico. And I'm just bringing that context in to understand the historic racial hierarchies that are going on right here, especially when it comes to the Texas Rangers. The Texas Rangers was one of the last people to allow black people to even be a part of the major league program.
Wow.
Jackie Robinson was the first black person ever in the MLB.
Right.
He broke that color barrier in 1947. The Texas Rangers, who was formerly known as the Washington Senators, did not allow black people until 1972. My mom was one.
Wow. Wow.
And this has been a pattern over decades where there has been a low number of black players, period. And we're not even talking about when it comes to even coaches or even front row offices. The Texas Rangers, for one, the name is racist, but we can dive into that another time. But even up until this year, the Texas Rangers installed this statue. It was called One Riot, One Ranger. And this was based off of a former Texas Ranger who was a law enforcement who enforced school segregation. He appeared in a photograph of an effigy of a black man hanging from a noose. And this is the statue. This is the man that they put a statue up this year in
Wow.
March of 2026. This is the Texas Rangers.
Wow.
Not to mention, shortly after they put up that racist statue, they displayed their starter lineup, which was all white, U.S. born white male, which this has never occurred in the MLB history ever until this year. So this, and then piggyback, fast forward to my son, April 16th, he encountered by Hispanics who are enabling this hierarchy, who are buying into this hierarchy and implementing the same things, teaching it to their children. And this is how it even came. Because children, they're going to say the stuff that adults are not saying. The children are always going to tell what is going on
Sure.
in the household. The
Sure.
children are always exposed.
Yep.
And in that situation, it just shown me like the ER, what we do is we stand up for black people who are being faced with situations like this. Like we cover the Carmelo Anthony situation, as well as the Christopher Nia heist, Felita Bailey, Marvin Scott, and so on and so forth. These are all the tragedies that has happened of black deaths in Texas. This is what I do. it has just made it home right here to West Dallas, where my son is now. Well, we know we're not exempt for the rule. It's just now at my front door.
Right, right. Wow. All right, family. Well, you've heard it for yourself, live and in living color. And again, it's not like these things are new, but what we do know is that the advancement of certain types of things is more than evident, and I dare say it will increase, particularly in the next 2 years. There's not going to be any getting around this. Now, for those who don't understand the nature of the game, the other group of people that's known as the Democrats, of course, they have a much, shall we say, gentler way of destroying us.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just be real clear now. All right. I call it, since I call it good cop, bad cop. Right. That's the game that's being played
Yeah.
of good cop, bad cop when it comes to these two parties.
Yeah.
You see, they're both ruthless, they're both detrimental, but one will smile at you while they poison you, and
Yeah.
the other one will just poison you. Won't bother to smile. Okay, and so we just want to put this in perspective. So right now we're dealing specifically with the entities that are in the forefront more, and have a little more control. All right, and that's going to be happening for the next 2 years, y'all. So it's only going to get worse.
Before it get better, but sometimes we need it to burn so we can rebuild.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt, and that's what Brother Moon was saying earlier. Sort of is that sometimes things do have to happen in order for other things to happen. So yeah, we get it. We get it. But I'm saying again, we need to stop playing this. I call it ring around the rosy and the seesaw game, the merry-go-round game. It's okay if we decide to get on it and play it. That's one thing. But when you are kind of maneuvered into playing it, and then you don't have another game, that's not. It's not
Yeah,
good.
it's like putting all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah, that puts it mildly. It's really severe, and we're really moving more into what is known as social engineering. It's been in effect for a while, but the sophistication of social engineering now is, whew, it's reaching a different height now. And of course it would, because technology is developing as such. So of course everything else that's connected to that is going to also develop further. But let's go to our family for a moment. Brother Lumumba, what are your thoughts? Did we lose you? Because we're not hearing you. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there. Um. Okay.
Peace, peace. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Yep. Yeah. So I'm not really surprised. Texas and kind of the narrative and history that comes along with that. The old pilgrims and Indians. And putting up the West as pioneers and those who are bringing uh, societies to the forefront, civilization, and being able to, battle against the quote unquote savages. This whole narrative and doctrine that they have developed, and Texas is one of those main said states that push forward, that aspect of off-white supremacy, of patriarchy, and a lot of the false bravado and narrative that come along with quote unquote being an American. So not really surprising in a lot of the cases there. and also with uh, the ethnic type of uh, parasitic clinging that happens with other ethnicities and races. One their proximity to whiteness, bringing them higher on their social, political, and economical levels. So they're willing to sacrifice each other, even if, sometimes willing to sacrifice themselves in order to, climb those social economical ladders and being even remotely seen in the spectrum of whiteness, right? A lot of when you look at other those of Latin descent, Latinx, Hispanic descent, that are coming from other countries as well. It's a lot in the culture. There's a lot of the bleaching of the skin, so on and so forth. When you see advertisements, things of that nature, you don't see the African or the black uh, uh, populace that are represented, and a lot of times they're the majority. So all of these things are kind of coming to a culmination, and especially with the emboldening type of legislation and governance that we have currently with this administration, is just pushing that further to the forefront, and those things are bubbling to the surface. So, just but again, as what both your sisters were echoing, just really displays the need for us to really get our act together, recognize and realize what time it is, what day it is, and that we cannot continue to think that we can depend on other people. We have to depend on ourselves. We have to do for ourselves, and we have to be our own saviors. And ain't nobody gonna save us but us, and we all we got. And the sooner we realize and recognize that, the better off we're going to be. Right. Let me see. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, and I actually do agree with what he said, that we all that we got, because that is the reality of this situation. If we do not stand together, we can't blame anybody for the things that come our way. And it goes back to what you were saying about black mothers. What are we doing? You
That's
know,
right.
to protect
Yep.
our children. You
Yep.
know, black fathers, what are we doing? What are we doing for the legacy, the youth, the world that they're growing in? If we do not take a stand right now in this very moment,
That's
what
right.
world are we allowing them to grow up into?
Yep. No doubt about it. All right.
And we
Go ahead, brother Luna. Go ahead.
uh, check. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
couple other people in the yard
Okay.
backstage. So I don't know if anyone else has a question or a comment. Let me see. We got Sister Rabita, Sister Dottie, and looks like Baba Moses. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna try to just bring folks to the front stage, and you'll have to unmute yourself and weigh in on any questions or comments that you might have, or you can put that you want to come up to the front stage on inside the comments, and I can bring you up that way. But let me try to just bring folks up and see if there's any questions or comments based on the conversation currently.
Okay. Any thoughts, family? Sister Dottie? Sister Rabita? There we
You're
go.
adding
I
to the
don't have
stage
any
now.
thoughts. I'm just enjoying the. I don't have any thoughts. I'm just enjoying everything.
All right.
Okay, I
Great.
just added everybody to the stage. So yes, the floor is open if there's any questions or comments. Uh, thanks for joining us in the yard. Any questions or comments? The floor is open.
This is Brother Moses. I just want to say, the struggle is continuing. Yesterday, May 1st, um, the 11 a.m. at Foggy Bottom Metro stop in D.C., there was a demonstration against capitalism by the Party for Socialism and Liberation. At 12 noon, there was at the Washington Monument, there was a demonstration against Trump and with the Democrats and the unions pushing for more Democrats to be elected. And then also at Franklin Square in D.C., there was a demonstration for D.C. statehood and independence for D.C., which relates to reparations and Black folks in general. And so it was a good day yesterday. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Sister Rabita, any thoughts from you? Okay. All right.
Sister Rabita had a lot of commentations backstage. I was definitely
Okay.
reading her comments.
Okay.
But I do see that Jay Renee the One did ask a question, and thank you for, just asking that. The best ways that we can be supported, what we could greatly just really appreciate, is for the community to reach out to the Texas Rangers so they
Hmm.
know that we see this, we are aware, we're not allowing this to be covered up. I'm actually asking for the children that did this to be held responsible and not be allowed to come back, as well as any family members that they have there, the people that are possibly encouraging this behavior, and then be due to how negligently they handled this situation, I'm calling for the head staff to be removed as well.
Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Let's deal with some action. Now, I'm sorry, what part of Texas again are you in?
So West Dallas, Dallas, Texas.
Okay. I'm not sure, but I have a brother in Texas, but I'm not sure exactly if he's in Houston or Dallas. Very, very good brother. He is the chairperson for the National Black United Front. His name is Brother Kofi. So I want to make him aware of this situation. And if he is in the same city, I know they will definitely support in whatever way.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Because I stood out there by myself, advocating for my kids. And I'm going to keep doing it, not even just for my kids, but for all Black kids. Because I will not stand for this. In our ancestors' names, they will not continue to play in our face.
I know that's right. I know that's right. Okay. So listen, we are going to stay abreast of what's going on and make certain that we provide, whatever updates that come in. And I'm going to reach out to Brother Kofi tomorrow and just kind of get a better idea of where he is. And even if he's not in that city, he may know someone of similar like minds that is in the location that you are, if he's not in that location. Because are you familiar? Have you ever heard of a place called the Shape Center?
No.
Okay, then you're probably not in the same city, because he's affiliated with a cultural center called the Shape Center, and they've been there for at least, I think, like 3 decades, something like that. Very, very good folk, very culturally oriented, very politically active, and so forth. So, okay, but I'll reach out to him tomorrow and see, what kind of feedback I can get from him. But again, he's the director of the National Black United Front. Okay.
Thank you. Thank y'all so much. Thank you.
Oh, this is what we do, sister. And we love doing it. Okay, that's the thing. We really enjoy what we do. We feel that it's part of why we're here on this planet. That is,
yes.
And so it's about taking on responsibility. And we're finding, unfortunately, too many of our people are shirking it. And we just not going to keep allowing it like that.
We
And
can't.
again, I'm not even talking about the masses. That's a whole nother, conversation.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the people who know a little something, something.
Right. Exactly. And that piggybacks off of what you said earlier today. When it come down to the grassroots organizations, the
Right.
ones that claim that they stand for the liberation of black people, the
That's
protection
right.
of black people, and not their children. Sad to say, a lot of these organizations I know personally, and they
Wow.
have not been standing for our community. They have
Wow.
not.
Wow. Yeah. This is what's going on. I see the same thing here in Philly and in other cities. Things have become very cliquish. It always has been in some way, but now it's just gotten out of hand.
Yeah. It's giving, they got paid to.
Yeah. Yep, that too. All right, my sister. Well, listen, before we close out, let me just check to make sure. Do we have any more comments or thoughts from Facebook or any? Now, you said Sister J. Renee had a question. I don't know because I can't see. So
Yeah,
I'm not.
she was asking how can y'all support me, and I just thank you
Oh,
so
oh,
much.
yep, yep. I got it. I got it. I did hear that. Okay, great. Okay,
But I think Sister Rabita had a question or a comment.
okay. Did she put it in the chat? Because again, I can't really see it.
I don't think we can hear her. She's asking if we can hear her.
No, we can't hear you, Sister Rabita. Now, if we could hear you, I'd be saying something. But no, we can't hear you for some reason. Okay. So maybe
Yeah,
if
no, she
you.
yeah, she fell off. She might got to come back. Okay, there she go. She
Can
finally
you
Okay.
all
came back
hear
out.
me?
Yep, we
Yes,
hear
we can
you
hear you now.
now.
Okay, okay, okay. I just had a small comment and thank you, sister. I've been listening and thank you so much for sharing and everyone. My comment was from observing, what happens here in Maryland, in DC, specifically Montgomery County, Maryland, and DC. Everything is whitewashed for the most part, and there's a lot of compromising. And I don't really see people. They think they're fighting for like liberation and reparations, but in reality they're not. They're working with feds, most of them, or federal workers.
Hmm.
It's not adding up. It's like you it's those things where you can't serve two masters. You can't say you for the people, but you have like this federal government job you go back to, and I don't see them fighting for all the missing black children. I don't
Hmm.
see this country is doing all this no kings rally. Not one person, not like they should have all over the country for missing black children and missing children as a whole. But reparations, I don't see nothing happening. I don't know why. It's like I see a lot of black people fighting for other communities, but not their
Right.
own.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
right.
And I'm
Yep.
like, make it make sense because, and then when I call it out, they're like, you can't say that because you're not black. And I'm like, I'm not on paper, but I am Afro-Asiatic. So it's a lot of like, especially here in Montgomery County, I get so much, backlash, but I see the harm that people cause and the compromise they make with the politicians, the way they pit black communities against each other.
Yeah.
We'll fund you. We won't fund. You know what I mean? We'll fund you. We won't fund this community. We want you all to fight, they make a mockery out of it. It's about standing together, and again, it's how do we do that? Because even now, the elected officials, some like white, blacks, Spanish, they're all corrupt. Spanish people wanted black people to come fight fight ICE and all that. No, have they ever come to any black stuff demonstrations? No, they barely. I mean, maybe here and there, but everyone wants black people to join their fight, but they will not do that for them. No, that's the
Yeah.
problem in this country.
Yeah. The anti-blackness is real.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And how, sister, can we send like letters and emails to the Texas Rangers, or like if we're not in Texas, obviously, like would that be of any help or no?
Yes, the more eyes that they know, the more they hear from the community that we are watching, we are aware. We are not going to let you bury this or sports watch this. This will not get brushed up under the rug. You will address the situation. So yes, send it to the Texas Rangers as well as the Texas Rangers Youth Academy.
Wow.
Youth Academy.
Yes, and they're also connected with Mercy Street. And that's a Christian-based organization. I don't think I should say more there.
Mm. Wow. Wow. Um, are you thinking about any legal action?
It has definitely crossed my mind, especially with the fact that they openly violated their own code of conduct. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then retaliated against me and put the police on me when my child was the one who was racially bullied. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have that conversation later this week. But I just suspect that will be something that needs to be taken into consideration.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Jay Renee, the one. You really are the one. Thank you.
No doubt. All right, family. So listen, we're going to close this segment out. Before we do, while I have everyone on the front end of this, I'm going to ask the question, and it is, are we ready to, shall we say, take greater control of our own lives, and with that, educate our children ourselves all across the board? And it doesn't mean that they won't be interacting with other children, but I'm saying that we would be the primary. What are your thoughts about that, family? In the context of collective homeschooling, what do you think? Can we do that?
Yeah, sister, I so agree. My kids are actually homeschooled. We've been doing this for a year now, and I don't see us going back.
Wow. And I
My
didn't
kids
know
have,
that.
yes, my kids have excelled. All AB honor roll, the entire household. I've seen them learn better. How they interact with each other has been much better. The bullying is not where it normally is. And then they're actually learning real life history. And I'm teaching them more than just what America teaches them. I'm teaching them real life as well as the basic K through 12.
Okay.
I'm an advocate for homeschooling. Please take control of your kids and what they learn.
Okay. I do have one request, though. We're creating a moratorium on the word kid.
Ah,
Yes. We want to make sure that we start recognizing our children as children.
children.
Right.
I
So
can get behind that.
we're calling on a moratorium against the word kid. Because I know you might not know this, but that is a very recent kind of phenomenon, meaning that's not, black folks didn't use that word. That only happened in the past maybe 30 years.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. Is your grandmother still alive?
No, unfortunately, she's not.
Right. Okay. Yeah. A lot of grannies aren't alive anymore, but if you do know of one, someone else in the community or whatever, they'll tell you. Our people did not call our children kids. That was strictly a European jargon. That was their jargon.
Mm.
Kids and you guys. We never did that. and particularly in urban communities, if you came into the hood talking about some you guys, they run you out. Well, not really, but you would definitely be looked at strangely. And kids, that was never. I mean, the older people, particularly from the South, they would, use kind of a choppy English language. But even with that, it was still not kid. It was children.
Mm.
The older ones. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because they had just come up from the South. But our people never used it. That became once we started integrating with other people. We never called our children kids. And for those who do not know, oh, by the way, we start our rites of passage classes next week, y'all. I'll tell you that before we close out. But one of the reasons why we want to refrain from that is what we've looked at closely is that there's certain words that are trigger words. And so a lot of times people don't know semantics or don't know like certain other kinds of elements in words. And of course, we can't know it all or adjust it all. But that one is a very interesting word. And for those who, kind of study in the spiritual realms and even religion, because in all three of the religions, it's relatively the same in terms of certain belief systems or concepts. And so what you'll find in Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, you will find the representation of animals that are depicted in these scriptures or in the various books. And so when you start hearing the representation of animals, for example, what's the animal for Christ? Does anyone know it right offhand?
A lamb.
That's right, the lamb. Yep. One is the lamb, and then the other non-human entity is the fish.
Oh yeah.
Right? But for animal, it is the lamb. Exactly. And is referred to as such to represent the characteristic of the lamb. And then, of course, it was used a lot in ritual. Right? And so that carried through in both, Christianity was later than Judaism. Judaism was later. So all of that is in there. So if the Christ and the goodness entity is represented as the lamb, excuse me, then what was the evil animal?
Baphomet, the goat,
And what was the
ram.
Right, it was the goat. Yeah. Well, it was the goat, not the ram, because the ram was different. It's different. It's the goat. And so the younger of the goat is called what?
A kid. But you told me this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. See, so unfortunately, to some degree, we're locked into a certain kind of dialect. And again, there's no way that we could know all of the little nuances. So don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to correct English. But I do think that there's something to that kid thing because I'm seeing it. I'm literally seeing it. We're going to get Sister Kim on soon. And she was on the public transportation bus this week, and she had to get off. The children were so incredibly not just rude, but they were totally out of control. She had to get off of the bus. They were smoking, vaping, cussing, and all kinds of stuff on the bus. And then when she tried to say something to them, they cussed her out. Yep. And it got so bad that she had to get off the bus and catch an Uber. So this is what we're dealing with. And so what we're saying is we have to begin to make some adjustments. And, why not begin with just something as simplistic as that? Because we think that it's going to help to trigger a different approach. So anyway, we won't go into that right now. But moving right along, I want to thank Sister Kay West for, really bringing this information to us. Again, it's not like we're surprised, but to hear it coming, closer to us from someone, definitely it resonates just a little differently, I think. And so we need to know that we don't have any help, y'all. That's what it really comes down to, except for us, for the most part. We the ones. If you're looking for somebody else, I wouldn't suggest it. So that's the message that we're trying to convey, or not trying, but we are conveying. We have to begin to deal with a greater level of not just responsibility, but also of loyalty in the context of supporting one another. So we'll be talking more about that a little later on. But my sister, I thank you again. And definitely, we're going to stay in touch. I'm going to talk to Carl Nelson. So when you get a chance, like I asked before, get whatever you can for me that you think can be shared. Because if we get you on Carl Nelson's program, he's syndicated.
Permission to speak before she goes.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, brother.
Okay, we're faced with white power, white minority rule mentality, white nationism mentality, it's Zionism and all this white supremacy, which manifests itself in apartheid. Apartheid, that's how it manifests itself. And so, we have to be conscious of that. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. But also there has to be some kind of proaction that needs to happen, and we need to start thinking about what that can possibly be. I'm gonna kind of clue you in on some things, family, and this is a little away from the topic, but it gives you an idea of how we've got to begin to move forward. So with our We Charge Genocide 21 movement and the R4J initiative, what you're going to hear us begin to do as we get more organized and begin to develop, cadres in different cities, one of the things that we'll begin to implement is kind of a survey. And the survey is going to be, and again, this is in the spirit of Queen Mother Moore and Dr. Imari Obadeli, right? This is, how do we continue the work that they shared with us and gave us? And so in the very near future, again, once we're more organized, have more people on board, we're going to do a survey. The survey is going to be of the corporations in the U.S. And the question to the corporations in the U.S. is, do you support reparations? Black/African reparations? Yes or no? Now, what will that do? Well, that will let us know on paper what corporations is in fact in support of the United Nations citing that the transatlantic slave trade was in fact the gravest crime against humanity, and as such, we need to be repaired. So what does that mean? That means it can enable us to begin to have some conversations with some corporations. And the ones that are not in favor of reparations, we should not be spending no money with them. See, that's direct action. That's also intelligent application of strategy. Why should we spend money with an entity that clearly says they're not in support of us getting reparations? So just a little food for thought for y'all. But this is how we plan to proceed. To narrow things down, to level the playing field, and to see where, in fact, there can be allies. So we'll have that conversation in the very near future in terms of fine-tuning it. Brother Lumumba, what's your thoughts about that? Uh-oh, did we lose him again? Okay.
Please.
Oh, there you are.
I think it's a good tool to utilize to kind of just put on the record where companies and corporations stand. We can begin to build the index and have a listing of those stores that we can look to supporting and patronizing, and those that we will not. But it has to be a concerted effort, and to really make the power of the black dollar felt.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's about, because I mean, obviously we have to spend money because we don't own and produce certain things. But doesn't it change the game a little when in fact we are selecting which one? I mean, I wish we didn't have to do none of them, but unfortunately, again, we are not manufacturing various things. So wouldn't it be in our best interest to see if we can in fact identify the companies that would support reparations? And we're not just talking about stores, we're talking about products as well. And then that way, we are consciously spending our money with entities who are potential allies in some way, shape, fashion, or form. See, these are the types of strategies and processes that we now got to look at as we proceed. Because right now, our people just spending their money with whomever without asking any questions. We know nothing about their ethics. We know nothing about nothing, as if none of that matters. And we are allowing others to represent us in the corporate world, and they're making deals on our behalf, and we don't even know. So when you see these big conventions and other kinds of events that have these sponsors, a lot of those sponsors are putting up 100,000, 200,000. And that is because behind the closed doors, deals are being made because these representatives that look like us are considered influencers. Therefore, if their product, meaning a corporation product, is co-sponsoring something, it appears that there's a partnership or a collaboration. And it sends the signal that this is a product for you to purchase. This is what's going on, and has been going on.
Absolutely.
Some of it is subliminal, and some of it is.
Yeah. I'm about to say, even if it's not conscious, it's subconscious. Right. Just by you seeing the name, seeing the logo, it's still registering, in the back of your mind. So when you see that logo again, you automatically associate it, with whatever that thing is, and you associate it positively.
Absolutely. Yep. In marketing, it's a strategic way of getting the purchaser or the consumer to purchase by way of association.
And that's also the power of product placement.
Yep.
Where you see, certain movies, things of that nature, and they'll specifically be drinking a certain drink or driving a certain car. These are strategically planned and promoted through product placement, so that again you associate, that thing with, being fast or cool or so on and so forth. And so again, it registers in your subconscious as I need to get that. I need to get that item. I need to get that product.
That's right. And that's why, particularly with the larger conventions and events, you're going to see the various logos and names of the sponsors on a variety of different paraphernalia or other kinds of giveaways. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. It's about advertising and marketing. And again, the psychological ramifications is, in fact, of a certain type. So you got to remember, in marketing, you're also dealing with folks who provide consultancy by way of psychology.
Oh, yeah. Marketing is all about psychology.
Yeah. Yep.
Marketing, advertising, and promotion is all about psychology and understanding, how people think and how people associate, different aspects of wealth, well-being, so on and so forth. And so they know, that's why a lot of these, quote unquote celebrities are utilized, because they're seen in such a light, so if people see them doing, they're supposed to be, successful, creme de la creme, so on and so forth. So if people are seeing them doing it or using that product or service, then they're saying, oh, that must be the thing to do.
That is actually true. In the study of media, when it goes to the introductory level, the history behind it, history is so important. It actually teaches you how they can manipulate the mind by certain colors to invoke certain feelings, and then also to lead your eye to even make you perceive things a certain way. So yes, you are right. When it comes to advertisement, these are strategic methods to make you think and believe and move a certain way.
Absolutely.
Yep. I tell you, family, we got a lot going on that we have to undo and pay closer attention to and dilute and redirect. And I mean, they really got us coming and going, but it's okay, because as they say, we woke now, y'all.
All right, now after folks get woke, it's time to get active. That's the other thing. I see people woke, but they're still in bed.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like there's the awareness, but then there's the movement behind it.
That's right.
Let's get into action. That's what time it is right now. Folks got to get in gear. So, folks got to get past woke nowadays. Got to get activated and stay that
That's
way.
right.
Exactly.
That's right. But you said they woke, but they sleepwalking.
Big facts. Big facts, man. If they ain't even sleepwalking, they still in bed. They done hit the snooze button, pull the covers back over their head.
So we call them lazy complainers. Lazy complainers.
Mm-hmm.
They complain about everything that's wrong with the government, but then they're not doing anything to make changes. Lazy complainers.
Wow. Wow. The lines are now drawn in the sand. So we're going to pay closer attention and also now kind of share with what our findings are. I mean, this is what we now have to do. All right, family. Well, listen, we're going to get ready to close this session out. I think, again, we want to thank our sister for sharing with us, for joining us this evening, and we're going to keep everyone updated on as things proceed, as things develop, and we're going to come with our next steps as well in the next week or so. So stay tuned. Let me see. I guess we could just get some closing comments from you, my sister, and we're going to wrap this up.
Thank you again for, just having me come on to speak about this unfortunate experience. I don't think we realize the mental way that this is. And yes, I know I love the support, and I hear a lot of people telling me to stay strong. But I need more than that. I need the community with me, not even just in spirit, but in every aspect, physically, emotionally, mentally, like you said, boots to the ground, because this is not for the weak. And we carry the flame, we carry the fight. It's just been passed to us. Unfortunately, a lot of us were sleeping, but now we are woke and we are aware of where we're at right now. And it's just going to have to take us getting out of this shock stage and just start moving accordingly, because it's in our face. It's right in our face. I mean, look at what they just did to the voting acts, the Supreme Court. The attack has always been on Black life. We have always been aware of that. Now the world just realizes that. But with that being said, we have to take not only these elections serious, but these everyday life situations. And we have to set the tone and confront every situation, including when it comes to our community. We have to be there for each other. If we do not, we'll just be in the same scenarios that the Black Panther was. Judas is in our midst.
That's right. Before you go, sister, I've got to ask, how is your son? How's he doing? I mean, tell us a little bit about, whatever part you can, but how is he doing now?
Yeah, so now he's in better spirits. He's in better spirits. But, when it first happened, he was just really up under me. I think he had a moment of processing what actually happened, because we watch things like Sarah Oil as well as the 13th. My kids are very aware. We watch Hidden Colors, and I tell them about our history.
Right.
Judas and the Black Messiah. So, they're very aware of these things happening. But for it's actually happening to him, yes, he did, confront them right then and there, what I taught him. But then he had to just sit with the emotions of, it happened to him in real time.
Right.
And he just sat up under me for days. And I know it's because I'm his safe place. And I think he loves that his mom is out there advocating and, with the bullhorn, holding people accountable. He says, my mom's going to protect me. And you right about that. Your mommy is going to protect you. We're going to hold him accountable.
I know that's right.
Anything to make him smile.
All right. So again, family, that's why I'm stressing to folk as we proceed, our sisters, we've got to do better. individually and collectively. There should be none of our sisters in any location, particularly the ones that are out here doing the work. There's no way that any of our sisters should be out there by themselves. We've got to do better.
Agreed.
It's just that simple. So I'm saying to folk, we got to now separate the girls from the women and the men from the boys. If we're going to advance our movements based on what our ancestors gave us, what they already did, then we've got to take this to the next level. And it can't be shucking and jiving.
Yes, can we please just stop tap dancing for these people? Can we please? Like when?
For real, those days are gone, or should be.
Should be.
So it's time to step up, family. Yep, time to step up. All right, well, listen, we're going to close this segment out. We want to remind everyone tomorrow, 7 o'clock, Ubuntu. We move forward to get ready for our first concert. And of course, that's going to also include a summit. We're talking about Black human rights. But now, going to the next level, again, United Nations took grand stand, and we got to go to the next level now. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow, what some of the next plans of action are. And unifying our folk of similar like mind on the artistic level. That's a start. So tomorrow at 7 Eastern Time, we will 1 hour begin to move to the next level with establishing our committees and the next steps for the concerts for the next 3 years. Okay? All right. Again, we're going to close out. I'm going to turn it back over to Brother Lumumba, and we're going to call it a night.
All right. Thanks once again for joining us for this edition of New Day Resurrection and Liberation. And thanks to our special guest, Sister Key West, for sharing that information and for being an advocate for Black rights and for our children. All right. With that said, family, we're going to close out for this session. Also, I want to give you a reminder for Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Ethereal Journey. Excuse me. That's 8 p.m. Excuse me. Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Ethereal Journey podcast. You can join us there on YouTube and also on Facebook Live. All right, family. Thanks for joining us once again. I want to give thanks first and foremost to the Most High Creator Creatress. Give thanks to the ancestors and the elders, those who have shed blood, sweat, and tears and paved the way to allow us to be here today. I want to thank you all. Thank you for your time, energy, and effort, dedication, determination, and discipline. I want to bid you all truth, justice, peace, love, freedom, power, prosperity, protection, patience, and divinely principled purpose. I want to say let us continue to strategize, organize, and mobilize. And finally, family, I want to say Pamoja Tutashenda, which means together we will win. All right. Until next week, until next time, I say, until Sunday, we got Tuesday. Peace and love, family.